I remember we danced in a church basement in Evanston that had a lot of pillars in the way. And we danced somewhere called King Kong Studios. And I don't remember what that looked. It was kind of a warehouse loft kind of situation. I don't remember what that was. Our Saturday nights were often at Esperanza, which was a school on, I think it was Grand Avenue. That was a great venue. We thought the school was haunted. Lights would go on, lights would go off. There was a stage. A lot of the people were starting to have kids by then, and the kids always slept on the stage. It was, and this friend of mine who dated Fred, Martha Grosvenor, for the last dance, she passed away about 4 or 5 years ago. She would always turn the lights out. God, I remember her, she'd run over to the side wall and flick all the lights off, and then the room would be dark or, very dim for that last waltz. Last dance, last chance for romance is what she used to say.
It was small, but they had a parking lot, and I believe it was free. It was a school, a functioning school, and we used it on Saturday nights. Mm-hmm. And I believe it was free. We just had to be careful with the floor because it was a nice wood floor, kind of painted black and varnished. And that was their cafeteria, and it had a stage. And originally the room was rectangular, but eventually, while we were using it there after a year or so, they expanded their kitchen. They reconstructed and expanded their kitchen, and our nice rectangular room became L-shaped. That crimped our style. And a frustration that we had along there is we would have, we wanted to go weekly, we wanted to have them more frequently to, like we talked before, to have continuity. Because people are not going to plug into something that's not happening, so you have to have some frequency. And I remember some of the dancers got frustrated because they would come and Esperanza was chopped up and not everybody could dance. So we always had chairs around the edges, and people would really be hot to dance, and they couldn't. They couldn't dance every dance, or, they were just, I didn't know to guard to get to we actually needed to have numbers or something. Numbers so people could circulate through. So, because otherwise you get the dominant extroverts just grabbing the center set and nobody else. In that case, it was just pretty much a center set. I don't even know if we could have 3 squares. We would only have probably 1 contra line. And so if you weren't in the dance, then you were sitting watching, and that's frustrating. So that was a problem. I needed to learn to include everybody, make sure I included everybody.
Where else did we dance? It was this we danced at Holstein's, which was this bar up on Lincoln Avenue, maybe. I don't remember where Holstein's was. That was fun. I'm sure you saw that the Irish American Heritage Center is now having a fundraiser because in order to not close, and Meg wrote this piece about looking for dance halls. And I thought, it's just it was this constant search for something adequate. We are so lucky at the Irish American Heritage. What an unbelievable hall. We danced at Holstein's. We danced at the Old Town School. That was fun because that felt like we had more of a chance to bring in more people because they were already kind of like-minded.
Old Town was, the space was just small. And so it was a really lovely thing to be part of it. And back then, Old Town now is like a multi-million-dollar not-for-profit, but at the time it wasn't. It was it was a small hippie organization too. And I know we went to Keenan O'Malley's. I don't know if that was the next spot, which was a bar in Roscoe Village, and it had kind of a back room, and it was a really ideal situation for a lot of people because there are some people who wanted to order food and a beer and dance. So that was really thriving for a long time. And we moved to another bar. We moved to like a couple of churches. We moved to, I think it was a Moose Lodge. Basically, we would get kicked out after, like getting consistent space every week in a major city that's cheap. It's really, and is accessible by like lots of cars and public transportation. It was a really, it's a horrible thing to try to find space. And we danced in Evanston for a while at a place called Space, and their first priority was music. And so I remember one time people showed up and Bella Fleck was playing during our dance time, and it's like, gee, I wonder who's gonna win. Like, are they gonna give us the space or Bella Fleck? It's one of those things you show up and then you go like, okay, what do you do? And you just have to cancel. There's nothing you can do. There's like not another secret room. There's not a room like right down the street. And then it was like, oh, how do we let everyone know that they should not come unless they want to hear Bella Fleck?
And how long has the dance been at the Irish American Heritage Center?
Oh, that's a good question too. I bet it's been there 8 years, but I'm again bad with time. It's been there a substantial amount of time, and we've changed rooms where we've been, and now we're in just such. We've been in some decent rooms, but we've been in some really, really bad church basements with low ceilings, pillars, fluorescent lights, like, which is maybe why everyone left at the break. But we went from that to like this total luxury, and it's like, yes.